This Veterans Day, as we honor the men and women who served our country, this is the first year one Kitsap County veteran is feeling our nation's pride.
As King 5's Taylor Murfin-Dureski reports tonight, George Aquiningoc went to war, he saw combat, but when he returned home, he says instead of getting thanks and support, he was shamed and forgotten.
That's George Aquiningoc at his mom's house, sitting next to his wife, who set up the camera. You can hear their daughter and niece in the background. That sigh says a lot. This 37-year-old Army veteran from Bremerton is about to open a letter that holds a life-altering decision.
And I was kind of dreading opening up the letter because I had this feeling that it was going to be bad.
So why were those papers in the envelope so important? Well, to understand, you need to hear some of his background.
It was a pretty intense combat deployment.
Aquiningoc was just 21 years old when he deployed to Iraq at the start of the invasion. He was an infantryman who saw frontline combat, including
this must be something big.
One of the high-profile battles of the Iraq War.
And that's when it really became surreal to me. I was like, oh my God, you know, Saddam's sons are in that building, and we're fighting with them.
There he is in 2003, posing in front of the home where the U.S. military killed Saddam Hussein's sons, Uday and Qusay Hussein.
I had a counselor one time ask me, how much do I think about Iraq? And I told him I probably think about Iraq 70% of the day, every day of my life.
Back in America, 2 years later, Aquiningoc was leaving military service and received his discharge paperwork. But something was desperately amiss.
You looked at your paper that showed your military history, and it said you did not go to Iraq.
Did not go to Iraq, did not earn all these awards, and it was pretty empty.
That's right. There was a mistake on an important form, the paper veterans need when they go out into the civilian world to prove that they served. Instead of showing nearly 7 months of foreign service, his record showed he didn't serve overseas at all.
They just probably never updated the files for me.
And that wasn't all. After combat, suffering from PTSD and bipolar disorder, Aquiningoc says he turned to smoking pot to help him cope. That led the Army to kick him out for misconduct. So, without an honorable discharge, on top of that flawed paperwork,
civilians started pointing out things that were wrong with it.
Aquiningoc says he had doors slammed in his face when he turned to the community for help.
They thought I was falsifying the documentation, that I was lying about all these combat experiences, and that basically that I was defrauding the VA to get benefits.
Aquiningoc says the poor treatment lasted 15 years. At one point, he even got a letter from a local veterans nonprofit denying him a service dog.
I would describe it as discrimination. You know, my buddy, he had said that you wore a necklace of shame for 15 years.
Fed up with that shame, he appealed to an Army board to fix his records and to give his entire unit the medals they deserved for their accomplishments in combat. Which brings us back to the papers in that envelope. The board's decision 2 entire years after his appeal.
Does that mean you got everything? Did you get everything?
Everything and more. Aquiningoc was upgraded to an honorable discharge and given not 1, but 6 new awards, plus the credit for the months he served in Iraq. And he had his mom there to share in the celebration.
Did you get it, George?
Yeah, they gave me everything.
Congratulations, baby. You got it for everybody, right?
Isn't that amazing? On a Veterans
So
Day,
powerful, yeah.
getting your honor back. I mean, how cool is that?
How could that even happen, though?
I mean,
How could it
that's
even
the thing. We
happen?
don't know what happened. He says it could have been a paperwork error, but get this. So after having that happen to him, he decided he wanted to be a veteran service officer, and so now he is volunteering at the VFW, where he is going to help other veterans fix their paperwork, and he just really wants to give back to people after experiencing what he did and just seeing how rewarding it was to have that honor back.
And to
Wow.
have it all restored, and awards too.
Yes,
Right.
wishing
So
him a happy
deserving.
Veterans Day and
Well, let's hope
everybody
it
else.
doesn't
best.
happen to others, Taylor, because it seems like the larger the bureaucracy, it's harder, people can fall through the cracks easier, right?
Absolutely, and he says that his unit was still over in Iraq when he came back, and there could have been just really a miscommunication, but we don't know.
Wow.
It's so good that he has it
The
back.
red tape, look how painful it was, 15 years of
Yeah.
that.
Yes, Absolutely.
Great.
Wow. Thank you, Taylor, for bringing that to us, and congrats to him.